Oh my god, my hair is driving me up the wall today. It's too long now. No, I'm not feeling the look today, guys. Don't have too long before I'm going to Reformer Pilates, because that's the thing I do now. Me and my sister-in-law, we go to Reformer Pilates, and number one, I always feel like I'm saying that wrong. Pilates? Pilates. Pilots. That's what Oliver calls it. Maybe I should just go with that. So a while ago, I made this video called Carrie's Dating Profile, based on a video that Emma Blackery did. Can you see how much my hair's annoying me? By how much I keep touching it? I can't remember if Emma came up with it. It went around for a little while, and it was essentially a series of questions that would sum up your personality as if it were your dating profile. So I thought it'd be fun to look at my old answers and reevaluate and see where I am now. Because this is also a video that people keep bringing up, because it's 5 years since I made this video, and the final question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? So a few people have been like going back to the video to see whether what I said in that answer has come true or not. Let's reevaluate. Go. The first question is, do you believe in love at first sight?
Soppily, yes. I do. Mainly because I think when you first meet someone and see someone and talk to someone for the first time, you kind of already know that you're attracted to them. And then when you do eventually start dating them, hopefully, which is, you know, what you want to happen, you kind of look back and you think, no, that definitely was, yeah, that was love at first sight. You kind of make yourself believe that it was. And I think that's a nice thing. I think that's, you know, as much as love at first sight as anything is. So yeah, I believe in that.
I think as the years have gone by, I've become more cynical, and I don't necessarily believe in love at first sight. I believe in attraction at first sight, which definitely isn't the same thing, and the two things should never be confused. I agree with what I said in the sense that people say, oh, it was love at first sight because it worked out. I don't think anyone ever said, oh, it was love at first sight about someone who they are no longer with. Maybe again, that's me just being massively cynical, but I think in every relationship I've ever been in, I've said, when people are like, oh, so how did you meet? I'm like, oh, it's love at first sight. But I would never say that about those people now. Next question is, what do you do for fun?
I knit and crochet. I'm trying to crochet myself a beanie hat at the moment, and it's not going so well. I read as well. I love reading. And there's something about stationery and notebooks that really turns me on. I just love it. Not even like what I do with the pens and the notebooks. It's just the notebooks and the pens themselves. The idea that a book could be filled with ideas and stuff, but I've only finished a notebook once.
Not a huge amount has changed. I crochet now more than I knit, but I don't really do much of either. I feel guilty when I spend my time doing something that doesn't have a result at the end of it that I am sufficiently proud of. And whilst I enjoy crocheting and I do have a little sense of pride every time I finish a granny square, that pride is substantially lower than the pride I gain when I upload a video or I finish a blog. So crocheting is like at the bottom of my list, but I still read a lot, I still write a lot, and I've definitely finished more than one notebook. Do you want / do you have any children? I mean, that hasn't changed. Don't have any children, but I would like a child and or children at some point in my life. What are you looking for in a relationship? I can't remember when I made this video if I was in a relationship or not. I don't think I was.
Trust, honesty, affection, cake.
I mean, that's all still pretty much true. I think now that I'm older, I have slightly different answers, but trust, honesty, and affection are definitely things that I look for in a relationship. Communication is now one of my big ones. I'm bored of drama, I'm bored of arguments, I'm bored of crossing of wires. That stuff, I hate it. I just don't have any time for it. So communication is something that I definitely look for in a relationship, and if one of us is upset about something, instead of just exploding or bottling it up and exploding about it later, just being like, I'm annoyed about this and this is why and this is how I feel about it, and tell me how you feel about it so that we can discuss this and figure out a solution or a compromise. There doesn't have to be any yelling, there doesn't have to be any shouting, it's just, this is how I feel, how do you feel, this is how I feel, what's the solution? What is one thing about yourself that you would like me to know?
I'm so temperamental. I will go from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same. I'm very temperamental. I do change my mind about things quite quickly, but I think I'm very good at saying, Actually, I've changed my mind, and that's not how I feel. And I think I'm very good at communicating. I'm also very stubborn. I am very stubborn, and I get personal vendettas about certain things. Even simple things like untying headphones. Even if someone in the room could get it done quicker than I can, I have to be the one to finish it because I now have a mission. And I won't let anyone help me until I've done it. If you won a lottery, how would you spend your millions?
Maybe I just buy Disney World.
Now I'm very much thinking about my life and my future and how I can invest the money I earn into making my future and the future of any potential children as good as it can be, I guess. And if I had millions and millions, I'd definitely give a lot away to charity, because there's lots of charities that are very dear to my heart. I know that sounds like really wanky, but there are lots of charities that I see doing amazing work who then really struggle to do that work because they need donations. My 3 charities that I love that you'll know that I've talked about before are Copperfield, WWF and Girl Guiding. They're the 3 charities that I really, really love. So yeah, I just like to see them able to continue their amazing work. Which was the first crush you ever had?
It was on a boy at my school called Maxwell.
Yeah, there was a boy at my school called Maxwell Monroe, who was actually the grandson of Matt Monroe, the singer. I'm gonna change this question slightly though. My first celebrity crush was Lee Evans, I would say, because I once saw him on TV when I was very, very young, and I called him Crazy Boy or Crazy Man or something like that, and I used to get really excited whenever I saw him on TV. To this day, I still love Lee Evans, so that crush never died. You've got 6 months to live. What will you do first?
I want to travel for like the whole of those 6. I want to see everything in the world that there was possible to see.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I would travel and I'd want to see loads of things. If I had 6 months to live, I would travel, but whilst I was traveling, I feel like I'd write a book detailing all of my deepest, darkest secrets and regrets. And then I'd want someone to publish it after I was gone. Are you a morning person or a night person?
I'm gonna say a morning person because I feel happier when I get up in the morning.
That has massively changed. I said I was a morning person, and I do really like getting up in the mornings, and there's like a big feeling of like possibility in the morning about what the day could hold and what I'm gonna do, and I like making plans, and I do like mornings, but I feel like I've had a lot less mornings than I have had evenings. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but when you work in theatre and you're getting home at like midnight and you don't go to bed until like 2 o'clock in the morning is gone by the time you're awake. You don't get up until sort of like 11, half 11. So by the time you're up, mornings a thing of the past. So I feel like I've become much more of an evening person. If you have friends coming over, what would you cook? What was my answer 5 years ago?
Millionaire shortbread, sweet things, because I suck at anything else. It will be something like pasta bake or fajitas because they come in a kit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still very much more of a baker than I am a cook. And fajitas is still one of my go-tos. I still only have like a few things that I'm really good at cooking, but I feel like the things that I'm good at, I'm really good at. Oliver's a much better chef than I am, so he cooks and I help. If you could travel back through time, what single mistake would you correct in life?
I don't like the idea that if I corrected a mistake that I just then don't learn something because I made that mistake. I'd rather have made all the mistakes I have made and have learned everything that I know now. I don't like that question.
Yeah, I still agree with my past self. I don't like that question just because I don't think there are any mistakes that I would want to correct just for fear of it changing something in my timeline. Even in a hypothetical question, I still need to make it difficult for myself. But if I know anything about the rules of time travel, if you change something, it changes everything after that moment. So I have just this fear that if I mess around with something, it'll ruin something else. And I don't like the idea that if I don't make a mistake, I then don't learn the lesson, because then I feel like I'm still gonna make that mistake at some point in my life because I haven't learned not to do that. And the final question, the big question, is where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
5 years' time, how old will I be? I'll be 26. Married, preferably, in a house of my own, with
Okay, I'm in a house of my own.
Out, in more shows, hopefully in a film, that would be incredible. And content with life.
Okay, all right, so I said married. That hasn't happened. I've been in a couple of awful relationships since then. But I'm in a really nice relationship with a really nice guy right now, so I'm not married yet, but it might be on the cards at some point in the distant future, but I'm in no rush. I feel like when I was 21, 26 felt like forever away. So the idea of being married at 26 was completely feasible. Let's give me a bit of time first, shall we? Let's calm down, 21-year-old me. Let's chill out. I'm getting annoyed at myself in the same way I get annoyed at family members when they're like, so when are you having children? And I'm like, stop. But I'm in a house of my own. That's something I can tick off the list. Have a book out. I mean, I have 4 books out and a novella, and I'm writing my 5th. I've done well there. Not in a film. That didn't happen. I think back when I was filming that video, I had fooled myself or let other people fool me into thinking that TV and film was above theatre, and that when you were in theatre, the natural progression, like the next rung of the ladder, was being on TV or in films. And now I just completely disagree with that way of thinking, because I'm so much more passionate, which is hard to believe considering how passionate I was about theatre back then. I feel so much more passionate about theatre now. So yeah, back then I felt like I was sort of longing to climb the ladder, I guess. That was my thinking back then. I was longing to take the next step into TV and film. But now I'm, you know, if a TV or project or a film came up, like I've been auditioning for TV and film recently, if an opportunity came up, and I was offered a role off the back of an audition, then I'd be happy to take it. But I don't see it as something I need to do in order to be better at my job, if that makes sense. And I said I wanted to be content, and I feel like I am. Now I need to answer the question, where do I see myself in 5 years' time? So in 5 years' time, I will be 31, so I would have hit the big 3-0. To be honest, I'm gonna be honest, and I know this might sound like I'm not like dreaming big enough, I guess, but if in 5 years I looked back at this video and I'm just doing exactly the same stuff that I'm doing now, I'd be really happy, because I love my life right now. I'm not sort of like yearning for anything bigger than this, because I love what I'm doing, and if I could just be in more shows and just work on really fun projects with fun people, if I could be, you know, with Oliver in the same relationship, with all the amazing friends that I have, in this house, in this finished house, ideally. And I just don't feel like I can ask for anything more, really, because I've been so sort of lucky and privileged, and I'm so grateful to have the life that I have right now in this moment. I don't want to push my luck by asking for more, and I don't really want any more, because I'm just so happy with where my life is right now. So if in 5 years' time, if when I'm 31 I look back at this video and nothing has changed, and I'm in exactly the same place, I'd be well happy. Looking back at that video, it's quite funny, because I don't really recognise myself. Like, I know that's me, obviously, but I just feel like such a different person now. It's weird, it's a weird feeling, and I don't know how many other people look back at themselves from, you know, it's not a huge amount of time, 5 years. I don't know if other people feel that when they look back at themselves from 5 years ago, whether it's still them and they're just older now but it's still the same person, or whether they look at it like it's just an entirely different person and they don't really remember what it was like to be that person. That's how I feel when I look at myself 5 years ago. I'm like, I know that's me, but is it me? It doesn't feel like me. Gonna go. See you later. Thanks for joining me.